Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode. Now I'm up here nice and early and the sun is just coming up, but I have some very important jobs to do, and today it's all about the flowers. So I'll be planting out my lavender hedge. I'll also be sowing some poppy seeds direct. I'll be planting out some sweet peas, and I'll also be going through the tulip harvest from over on the old plot, and I'll be talking about what dahlias I'll be growing this year as well. I absolutely love sweet peas, and for all the 6 years that I've had an allotment, there's always been sweet peas growing. Now over on my old plot I had a archway, and on that archway I had sweet peas, French beans and munchkin pumpkins. So if you don't think you have the room, you can always incorporate them along with other vegetables. For instance, here I've got these 2 wigwams, and also in this area there's going to be 4 courgettes and 3 butternut squash plants, so they'll be growing around the bottom and the sweet peas will be growing up. So there's always space for sweet peas. Now I will admit now that I've never had a massive crop of sweet peas. They've always ever grown to about this height. I'm not sure why, but I think I usually plant them out a little bit too late, so I'm going to be planting them out now. We're actually forecast for some really nice weather over the next couple of weeks, and then obviously our last frost date is May, middle of May usually, but we're nearly there. We've nearly made it. What I'm going to do with my sweet peas is put some bone meal into the bottom of each planting hole. You can also add rotted manure or homemade compost. Now let's just talk about the varieties quick. I grew these last year. I'm laughing because I do tend to pick my plants by their names. I love a good name for a plant. And these 2 varieties are called Green Fingers and Royal Lavender. Obviously Green Fingers because we're into gardening, and Royal Lavender because I just love lavender. But in fact, the colour of these sweet peas was just beyond beautiful. Like I said, I grew them last year. I had some seed left over, so I put some in here. They are mixed, so I don't know which one's which until they bloom. But the colours were just, I mean, one of them was almost iridescent. It was like a mermaid's tail. But yeah, I do really, really love the names. So I sowed these in February. I pinched them out. That will enable you to have a bushier plant, which means more flowers. And I grew them in these root trainers, if I can get one out. I always use these for my sweet peas, and I always use them for my beans as well. And as you can see, they are desperate to go out. The roots are coming out the bottom. But I mean, these are about 4-5 years old now. We just keep using them. They are really, really good. So once the sweet peas come out, my dad will probably sow some runner beans in these. I also hardened them off for the past 2 weeks outside. You can tell just by the shape and their leaves that they are hardened off. So I'm going to put them in. Like I said, I'm going to put these up, these 2 wigwams. My dad made these. These will be uploaded to the shop very, very soon. They are perfect height for sweet peas. And yes, I'm going to plant 1 per bar, but you need to plant your sweet peas about 15 to 20 centimetres apart. And like I said, I'm going to be putting some bone meal into the bottom of each planting hole, but you can add rotted manure or your own compost. thought I would do a little bit of an experiment. So what I've done is, with this wigwam, they've got the bone meal in the bottom of each planting hole. But when I planted up these sweet peas, I didn't add anything. I thought it'd be quite interesting to see if the bone meal did actually produce a better crop of sweet peas. So yeah, it'd be quite interesting to see what happens there. Last thing I'm going to do is just give them a bit of a water. But what you will need to do when they start to grow is just to help them grow up your frame. So maybe tie them in or just help them on their way. And also, when they start producing flowers, you need to keep picking them. Otherwise, the plant will go to seed and it will stop producing flowers. So the more you pick, the more flowers you will get. And that's never a bad thing. Now, as soon as I knew that I was coming over to my dad's plot to join forces with him, and I knew my shed was going to be here overlooking this vegetable bed, I just knew I had to have a lavender hedge along this front edge here. I just think it will look absolutely beautiful growing through this little fencing. It'll be a nice little view for me. It's also bee friendly. The bees absolutely adore it. It's fragrant, it's evergreen. You can use it for culinary purposes. You can also use it to make beauty products. The uses are absolutely endless, and it's my favourite flower. I absolutely love it. I don't think it's a secret that I love it. So yeah, I'll be planting a hedge here. And what I've done is I've gone out and bought some new lavender plants, and I put an online order in with a company called Lavender World, and I bought these small lavender plants. I think they worked out about £2.20 each. I think if you buy like a bundle of 5, it works out a little bit cheaper, which is perfect if you obviously want to create a hedge and you need a larger quantity. So I bought 5 of the Hidcote variety, which is the most traditional variety of purple lavender. And then I also bought 5 rosea, which is a pink variety. And I think the first time I came across this variety was at Hampton Court about 3 years ago. There was a stand there which displayed rows and rows of different colourful lavender. And before then, I just thought you just got lavender and purple. So yeah, I'm very excited about the pink variety. What I am going to do is do 1 pink, 1 purple, 1 pink, 1 purple, and so forth. I think that will look a lot better rather than just doing half the row pink, half the row purple. I think that might look a little bit odd. Now, as you can see, the plants are quite small. When they arrived with us, they weren't potted up or anything. They were perfectly fine. This bed actually hadn't been dug yet, so I couldn't put them straight in. So what I did was potted them up. Unfortunately, I lost 2 of the Hidcotes. I don't know why they died, but they're not here with us anymore. So I've just got 3 of the Hidcotes and 5 of the rosea. I'm hoping that I've got enough over on my old plot to bring over to fill in these gaps. If not, then I will just put another order in with Lavender World and get some more delivered to fill in those gaps. Now, these ones will take about 4 years to reach their full height. And if you're planting them in a hedge, you want to plant about 3 to 4 lavender plants per metre. Now, I've spaced these 1 foot apart. That just means that you get a nice continuous line of lavender rather than having any gaps in there. Also, the thing to remember with lavender is they really like good drainage and they like a sunny position. They will still grow in shade, but they will do a lot better in a sunny position. Now, this bed actually gets really boggy down in this end. So what I'm going to do to provide a bit more extra drainage is put some grit into the bottom of each planting hole when I plant these up. But you can also use things like sand. It's also great if you have really heavy soil. So good drainage is the key here. So all I'm going to do is dig a small hole, put some grit in the bottom, and then, yeah, hopefully try and salvage some of the lavender from my old plot. And then come September time, I will cut them back to about 2 inches before the hardwood. And if they need a little bit of maintenance in the spring just to shape them up, I'll just prune them ever so slightly as well. But because these are still quite young, they shouldn't need any work for any hard work for a couple of years. But lavender's quite easy to look after, and it's completely worth it too. I think one of the things I'm most excited about growing on this allotment is the flowers in amongst all the vegetables. So we've got the carrots, beetroot, parsnip there, there's going to be French beans here, then the row of poppies, then leeks, another row of flowers, broccoli, cauliflower. It's just going to be sort of mingled together, but I'm hoping it's going to look really, really nice. So yeah, the poppies are going to go here. I'm going to sow 2 rows. Now these are best sown direct. They don't transplant very well. And I tried sowing them direct over on the old plot last year, but quite a few of them didn't germinate. I think I did it too early. And yeah, it got a bit weedy, so it was a little bit hard to see which were the poppies and which were the weeds. But because I'm growing these in the rows here, it's going to be a lot easier to keep on track of the poppies and the weeds. So let's go through the variety I'm growing, because I'm really, really excited about these. And I got these seeds from a company called Dahlia, and the variety is called the Giant. Now, I love poppies. The flowers are beautiful, but they don't last very long. And the thing I love the most are the poppy seed heads. Now my dad makes these metal versions of them, which are great for decoration in the garden, especially in the winter. And obviously they last a very long time, and I absolutely love them. And I've always wanted to grow real poppy seed heads for decoration inside the house, maybe to add to wreaths and things like that. So I'm gonna sow quite a lot in this row. Now obviously this variety is called the Giant, and it produces giant poppy seed heads. Now the plants will actually grow to about 4 to 5 feet tall, which is why I wanted them here, because I wanted them to look nice in front of the shed. So let's get sowing. What I've done is I have just created a drill using a piece of bamboo. You want to sow your seeds about 1/4 of an inch deep. And if you're going to grow them in rows, then the rows need to be about 20 centimetres apart. And like I said, I'm going to grow 2 rows here. Then you just need to thinly sow them into your drill, cover them over, and press the soil down gently, and then give it a bit of a water. Hopefully we're going to get lots of poppies this year. And like I said, I'll be able to keep on track of the weeds. And I mean, poppies are quite easy to see, as long as you keep on top of the weeds. But yeah, I'm going to be mainly using the poppy seed heads for decoration, but they are good for culinary uses, so you can use them in bread and things like that. And the flowers are also perfect for wildlife like bees and butterflies. but yeah, decoration is what I'm using them for. So I actually ordered 2 packets of these seeds because I really want them to grow. Now you can sow them in the spring or you can sow them in the autumn. If you sow them in the spring, they will flower from June to August. If you sow them in the autumn, they will flower from May onwards. If you sow them in the autumn, the foliage will die back, but it will produce a taproot, which will grow strong under the soil and will obviously reproduce that foliage back in the spring. So yeah, just sow your seed 1/4 of an inch, cover it, press it and give it a good water. Now, because I'm able to grow more flowers on the allotment this year, I thought I couldn't leave dahlias out. So I'm going to put 2 rows of them here. One here and one here. All the way down to where the circular path is in the centre. So there's going to be room for 10 dahlias there and I'm so excited about it. Now I think I grew 2 or 3 over on the old plot. I've never had much luck with growing them from tubers. Whenever I dug them up and left them in the shed or took them home to pot them up later on, nothing ever came from them. So I've never had much luck with dahlias. So this year I thought I would buy some cuttings instead of tubers, and I've ordered them from the local nursery called Gilbert's, and they actually specialise in dahlias. Now they have a dahlia farm which we visited, I think it was a couple of years ago now. It was like heaven. It was heaven on earth. And the best thing about visiting a place like that is you can pick which dahlias you want to grow, because you can actually see them in the flesh and you can see the colours in person, which is perfect. So I picked some varieties. I did look online for some varieties as well, but yeah, I put a big order in with Gilbert's Nursery. I'll just quickly go through the varieties with you because I've got them in my handy notebook here. So I've got the ever popular Calf Olay. There's one called Polverton Christabel, which I chose because my mum's called Christabel, but it's also a really beautiful dark pink. Then there's Fairway Spur, Totally Tangerine, Cornell Bronze, Croydon Superior, Labyrinth, Holland's Festival, Little Snowdrop, and Myrtle's Folly. So there's 10 varieties there, and like I said, I've got room for 10 here. And I think I've gone for a little bit of a theme, so I'm always drawn to one colour in particular, and it's usually like a vintagey, soft pink, dusky pink. I'm always drawn to that colour, and when I was picking these varieties, I got the thumbnail pictures from online. I put them in a folder and I realised that they were all near enough the same colour. So I did a little bit of swapping. I added in a couple of whites and a couple of like burnt oranges, a couple of darker pinks, and that's the 10 which I've chosen. So really excited. They're hopefully going to complement each other really well. And like I said, I've ordered cuttings, so they'll be ready to pick up at the beginning of May in a couple of weeks time. And yeah, there we go in there. I'm so excited. I mean, I can't tell you how excited I am about growing dahlias. But yeah, just need to pick them up now. So that's it. all about flowers this week, which I'm really excited about. Like I said, I've got more space to grow more flowers this year, so yeah, really excited to see the allotment bloom for the first time here. Obviously this was my dad's old plot, but he let it go a little bit last year, so yeah, it's been a lot of work trying to get that back, but we finished digging, things are going in, and yeah, really happy with how it's turning out at the moment. But over on the old plot, I have been harvesting a few of the tulips and the daffodils that bloomed over there in the trough. Now, unfortunately, I don't have room for the trough over here, so we'll be taking that home to sell. But I will be planting more bulbs here in the autumn. More daffodils, more crocus, more tulips, things like that. Not that many bloomed over on the old plot, if I'm honest. There was about 3 different tulips, purple crystal, orange princess and spring green. Yeah, not that many, but they were absolutely beautiful. The colours were just amazing, so I'll probably grow those over here. And then with the daffodils, there was Sir Winston Churchill, Sweetness and My Story. And My Story always reminds me of a cream egg. It's really lovely, but I think my favourite daffodil has to be Sir Winston Churchill. The name is amazing in itself, but I picked one last week which had 5 blooms on it, and the smell was just amazing. So yeah, more daffodils, more tulips on here next year, but the old plot isn't looking the best. It really isn't. The fruit cage has sort of started to collapse on itself. Weeds are growing, things have gone to seed, but I mean, there's just no point in me maintaining that plot when I have this plot now. And obviously that one will be given up in September when the rent runs out. There's still a few things to move over, a few of the perennial flowers, and I also might try and harvest some of those gooseberries this summer as well. But yeah, you might have noticed something was missing from my old plot, and it has in fact landed on the new plot, but I will be showing you all about the big shed move in the next video. But for now, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all later.